Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, 1150 gets into the cybersecurity business. Girl Scouts of the USA wants more Hoosier girls in STEM. We spotlight a footwear company that started in a Taylor University dorm room. Trendiana provides a local guide to grilling out. The Athletic boasts a new standard in sports journalism. And our insiders take a look at the week's top business stories. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. 1150 Academy, which is known for its coding programs, has announced its first cybersecurity offerings. The Academy says the training will be hands-on and prepare students for high-wage, entry-level cybersecurity jobs. Founder Scott Jones joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick to detail the new program.
Okay, first of all, cybersecurity, we hear a lot about it. What are these jobs? And I guess it's both in the military side of things, but also civilian as well.
That's right. Military and civilian is where we're seeing attacks. Wars are won based on cyber, right? It's happening in the ether. And for small, medium-sized businesses, they're fighting it every day. 60% of small, medium-sized businesses will be hit over the next 2 years in one way or another, stealing credit card numbers, stealing social security numbers, locking you out of your own system, ransomware. These are all the things we hear in the news. Well, this new program that we are just offering, in addition to our coding of Python and .NET and JavaScript, now we teach cyber, and we have 14 different attack scenarios, like a DDoS, which stands for Distributed Denial of Service attack, or a man-in-the-middle attack. You learn about all of this, how it's happening to small businesses, how it's happening in the military. And we teach it in 12 weeks, and you come out with 2 industry certifications that virtually guarantee you to get a starting job that's in the 60, 70, 80,000. If you happen to speak Chinese and have a security clearance, you're making like 6 digits, as in more than 200,000 probably.
Wow.
So these are big jobs, big careers. It's fun. It's maybe not as mentally strenuous sometimes as coding might be. But these are they go hand in hand. If you know coding, it helps you be a cyber security expert.
These jobs are available, though, as I mentioned, thousands of jobs.
There are thousands of jobs, even in Indiana, let alone the coasts. But even in Indiana, and I expect for the job growth to be much higher than 130%. I think it's going to be hundreds of percent because it's the fastest growing sector of tech. Right? And it's the biggest threat. And as we move into things like IoT, the Internet of Things, where there's code in everything, in your refrigerator, in your microwave, in your car. I mean, you can shut down a car while it's driving, right? That's a cyber attack, right? And so there's all these vectors of attack that we're just beginning to understand. And these courses, these 12-week courses where we put people through really fast, we have a full-time version of that course and a part-time night version of it, that takes 24 weeks as opposed to the 12 weeks. But we teach all of these skills of cybersecurity.
And you see taking this statewide, where our show is aired every corner of the state. You see this as a statewide
Yes,
program?
we are going to put this, what's called the cyber range, where we have 20 students in a classroom and a trainer that's overseeing and launching a cyber attack at these students with training wheels on it first. And then you got to deal with the servers and the log files and everything on your own. And by the end, you're beginning to be a cyber expert, and we can launch this in other areas. We can do it down at Westgate. We can do it in Terre Haute. We can do it in Evansville and Fort Wayne and Gary.
Also, I should talk about the 5G summit that was recently held.
Right.
A lot of news coming out of that related to mobile.
Right. The Dean of Engineering, Meng Cheng, and AT&T was there. Verizon was there. We're all holding hands, coming together. IEDC was there. Dave Roberts, Chief Innovation Officer, all coming together to figure out how do we be a 5G, which is the next version of what's going to be on all our cell phones, 10 times faster, but more importantly, 30 times shorter latency, meaning things happen just so much faster. So you can actually do surgery via 5G, robotic surgery. You can run race cars. So the Andretti team was using 5G in the race to collect that data. You can do augmented reality. So you have an overlay that tells you the names of everybody in the room, right? I mean, all these cool things that we can do with the new platform technology, but they have all the same cyber risks. In 5G, maybe 10 times more cyber risks that we're going to be teaching about.
Lots of exciting things going on at 1150 Academy in the cybersecurity world. Now, Scott Jones, as always, thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Gary. All right.
Still to come, a homegrown footwear company makes good, and we look at grilling out with Hoosier flavor. But first, Girl Scouts of the USA has pledged to put 2.5 million girls in the STEM pipeline by 2025. As part of that effort, Girl Scouts of Central Indiana hosts what it calls the largest one-day hands-on STEM event for girls in the state, attracting more than 4,300 participants. CEO Danielle Shockey and Every Girl Can STEM Executive Director Jen Watts came in studio with more on the effort.
Danielle, first of all, I think the point to be made, science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, folks might think that's new to Girl Scouts, but really the organization's been involved in STEM for a long time.
Absolutely. We've been around for over 100 years, and actually one of the first 6 badges in Girl Scouts was the Naturalist Badge. And then in the war efforts, we added aviation and electrical engineering type badges for women to support the efforts. So it's really been a part of our DNA for a very long time. And now today we actually have partners like Raytheon, Motorola, Apple, and others who write our STEM curriculum for our girl badges. So it's very much a robust part of what we do. Last year in Central Indiana, 19,000 badges in just STEM were earned by our girls.
Wow. Let's talk about this new school and this broader goal from Girl Scouts USA, 2.5 million girls in the STEM pipeline, which would be a great thing, obviously. And they're calling on local affiliates, if you will, to make that happen. This is the first model like this where Girl Scouts is really on the front end of creating a school.
Absolutely. So yes, so in Central Indiana we have a math and science center. We have mobile units to support our girls in STEM in the rural areas. And so as we looked at what we could continue to do to help reach that 2.5 million goal, the school was absolutely kind of this next opportunity. So we are super excited to partner with Every Girl Can STEM to bring this to life.
And that organization, Jen, you're the executive director. Talk about 2 years, you said you want to have a school up and running, so you've got your work cut out for you.
So we've been hitting the ground running ever since this opportunity hit my plate. We have 2 years, according to our timeline and what we've been planning to get this started. We have a lot to do. We are hiring a school leader by the end of this week. We're recruiting board members, so we want to put a really strong board together as soon as possible to make sure we're headed in the right direction. And we're also looking for seed funding right now. We are going to be applying to some small grants and some big federal grants to help us get the school started, but we're really looking for anyone who wants to help spark that innovation with what we're doing to help us get this started.
So corporate support
Absolutely.
would be very important to this process.
Absolutely, it would be very appreciated.
Good. And again, Monday through Friday when the school's operating, it'll be for those who are enrolled in the school, but in the evening, a variety of programs.
Absolutely. So we actually see if this school is going to be built as this innovative STEM classroom. In the evenings and on the weekends, girls in Central Indiana who are Girl Scouts could also utilize the facility. So,
okay,
yeah.
and Jen, quickly too, when you talk about curriculum, I know we're still a couple of years out, but Danielle mentioned the big corporate support from Raytheon, Motorola. Will those private sector folks help to define the curriculum?
100%. The goal of this is also to get students out of the classroom and give them that hands-on project-based learning. And we want to partner with corporate sector to help us get those students into those facilities, into those jobs, and let them have that hands-on experience as soon as, first grade.
Exciting. All-girls STEM school. I know we'll be doing a lot more on this as it unfolds. Jen Watts is the executive director of Every Girl Can STEM. Danielle Shockey, CEO of Girl Scouts Central Indiana. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right.
Later in the podcast, the best Hoosier-made grilling options and Monumental Yoga continues to grow. But now, Sky Footwear launched in 2016 out of a Taylor University dorm room. The concept combines the growing popularity of unique-looking socks with the constant need for socks in the homeless community. Co-founder Keaton Hendricks joined the show to tell Sky Footwear's story.
Yours is a great and interesting story. You launched 3 years ago, but really this idea you started to form maybe in 2010 in your native home of Bloomington, right?
Yeah, so in 2010 is when I was volunteering at homeless shelters in Bloomington and really saw how socks were a huge need for the homeless population. They go through them pretty quick. They don't have laundry. They can't do laundry. So after 3 to 4 days, they need a new pair.
All right, fast forward to 2016, and you made the decision, I am going to do something about it. You launched the company in your dorm room.
Yeah, so before that, I was doing something else and fell in love with e-commerce. And, I was like, if I could take what I'm doing now, connect it with something I'm passionate about, I'm going to give it a go. And so I was in the dorm room at the time, but I didn't want that to stop me. And so 2016, ordered as many socks as what we could, and launched it then.
There you go. How many socks now are you up to, probably?
We've sold over 30,000.
Wow. That's that. And talk about the model, because it's every pair of socks you sell.
Yep. For each pair of socks that we sell, we donate a pair to a homeless shelter, and we partner with a different homeless shelter each month all across the U.S.
Yeah. What's been the reaction? And I know you're partnering with, as you say, with homeless shelters and helping the homeless around the country. What's been the reaction?
Yeah, so from the homeless shelters, I mean, they really see it as a benefit to them, because it's one less thing that they have to worry about. You know, they are strapped for, you know, all these different things that they need to keep the shelter going.
Yeah.
But having this be one less thing and a thing that they're in big need of, it really helps them. And
you're really grabbing some attention from a lot of different places, including Major League Baseball, right? Steve Cishak, pitcher with the Cubs, he's on board.
He is on board, and you know, he wears a pair of our socks, the American flag sock, before every game. So he's out on the field wearing them. It's pretty cool to have him
maybe
on
you
board.
can talk to the Cubs about
I'm
changing their
trying
socks
to.
too.
I'm trying to.
Okay, you're looking at really having a relaunch, if you will, of the company this fall or late this summer in August, and really under the premise that it's about more than socks.
Right. Yeah. So in the past 3 years while we've been operating, you know, we've donated a lot of socks, helped a lot of shelters, but we've realized it goes way beyond just socks. And, you know, with our model, how we're positioned to help different shelters, we're excited for that, to go into these other products, and we're ready for that.
We'll be following the story. Keaton Hendricks, the founder of Sky Footwear, he just landed some funding, about $100,000. You're going to get some marketing dollars, right?
Yes.
And to get you going.
Yes.
So good luck with the company. I know you got a lot going on. We'll be following you going forward.
Thank you.
All right.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Still to come, thousands hit the mat for Monumental Yoga, and The Athletic shines a light on Indiana sports. But first, from grilling meats to mustard, pickles, and buns, it's possible to have a 100% Hoosier-sourced cookout. This month's Trendiana segment shows you how, with Yelp Midwest Regional Director Brittany Smith.
Grilling season, although I always say there is no season, it's 24/7 for
Year
grilling.
round.
But grilling continues to be more and more popular, and grilling different types of things.
Yes, for sure. People are looking for more artisanal products, branching out into what they're trying. So it's not just your average hot dog anymore.
Okay, let's get right to it. You've got a great list of local vendors around the state of Indiana. Smoking Goose here in Indianapolis, 10 years old, but they've expanded dramatically around the state and beyond.
Very popular. And speaking of not your average hot dog, that's a great example of it. If you're looking to try something new with your sausages, they've got a duck pear port sausage, an octopus sausage. They even have vegetarian options. And now they are releasing backyard barbecues. Well, they'll cater for you, bring a whole hog, state fair drumsticks, turkey drumsticks. Wow. Sounds incredible.
That is new. So they'll actually come and do the work for you in your own backyard.
Party in your backyard, no mess. It's wonderful.
Have to remember that. Okay, dessert is always great in there too. Circle's Ice Cream.
Yes, Circle's Ice Cream is artisanal ice creams. So they're making small batches of one-of-a-kind creations. They're using local ingredients like Friddle, Tinker Coffee, Hotel Tango spirits in the ice creams. You can find them at Wildwood, Goose the Market, several locations around town.
Even this Hoosier-sourced ingredients gets into sandwich condiments.
Yes.
And we go up to Northeast Indiana, Best Boy and Company in Roanoke.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about this business is 100% of the profits are going to charity. They're making small batch mustards like whole grain bourbon barrel mustards, lots of dessert toppings like fudges. It's a really unique business that's been around for a while.
Indiana Pickle Company.
Yes. Oh, I love these. So they are brining all of their pickles in local spirits and upland beers, lots of different beers that stemmed out of their love for spirits, and they've turned it into a full business, from carrots to pickles.
We've got a lot of meat on the desk here this week. You can smell it. It smells great, and a lot of it from a table by Market District.
Yes, and Carmel. This is for the family that wants to, maybe cheat, take dad out for a Father's Day brunch this Sunday for June 16th. The mess is right there. They'll take care of it. They're actually doing all their bourbon barrels. They've selected them themselves. Grilled meats, lots of different stations, so you can have the mess, leave it there, and walk away.
And it does smell great. And our last stop, our tastery.
Yeah.
Right?
So this business was stemmed out of wanting to take your average barbecue and take it to the next level. So they've created a lot of rubs from espresso to Cajun to Mediterranean, so that you can make your wings, your burgers, all of those things, take them up to the next level, and you can order them online.
Fascinating story. Brittany Smith, the Midwest Regional Director at Yelp, as always, great job. And these, again, are businesses who are making things happen around the state of Indiana.
For sure. A lot of them you can order online or visit a local store.
All right, thanks. We'll see you
Thank
next time.
you.
Later in the podcast, a fresh look at Indiana sports with The Athletic and perspective on Indiana's top business stories with our panel of insiders. But now, Monumental Yoga is in its 7th year, putting on what it says is the largest yoga class in the Midwest. This Friday, around 4,000 people are expected to do yoga together on Monument Circle in downtown Indianapolis. Chair Dave Sims and Indie Yoga Movement President Susie Bindley talked about the event with Barb Lewis in the Business of Health.
Dave, I want to start with you. Just give us an idea of what will be happening on the Circle on June 21st.
Well, as you mentioned, there's going to be a ton of yoga mats, thousands of them spread out. We have a large class that evening, and the event starts at 4 o'clock, goes from 4 to 9, and it culminates with a large community class at 7 o'clock. So people are invited to come out and wander around. There'll be over 80 vendors lined around the Circle. There'll be many yoga classes, like 20-minute classes that all levels of participants can come out and roll out their mat, or if they've never tried yoga, this is an opportunity for them to get a little taste. There'll be some local artists and musicians, for a little entertainment. And the vendors will include everything from jewelry to local food vendors. There'll be some essential oil samples and things like that. So it'll be a nice little variety of things going on.
So you don't have to do yoga. You can just come and shop or eat or just see what's happening and maybe join in.
Exactly. And if you want to be a part of the largest class in Indiana, that'll be happening at 7 o'clock. So don't miss that part.
All right. And Susie, the organization behind this, Indie Yoga Movement, is fantastic. And I think we get caught up in the event and we forget about this wonderful organization and where the proceeds go. So tell us about the mission.
Well, thank you. Indie Yoga Movement, our goal is to reach those most vulnerable youth in central Indiana. And we bring them yoga, meditation, and mindfulness. And in these classes, the students are able to calm themselves. We give them tools. They're able to gain focus. They're able to get attention directed to themselves so that they can be more productive back in the classroom and throughout the rest of their day. And we're finding far-reaching benefits from grit to self-efficacy to increase in confidence. And the schools are so pleased. They're wanting more and more of our classes. We're increasing to a rate of 115 classes in the fall. We've already taught in the past 7 years 22,000 Central Indiana youth in our programs.
Okay. And what schools do you cover? Is this primarily IPS or just all of
Primarily Central Indiana. Okay. IPS, we've been at 4 schools. We're increasing to 19 schools in the fall. Wow. The school system is so pleased with the results of our program. We're in Warren Township, Wayne Township, Pike Township, largely city center.
Okay. And then Dave, really kind of the purpose of this, I guess this question is really for both of you, kind of the real mission behind the actual event of bringing this yoga community together to help.
Yes, well, that was the whole point of bringing the yoga community together to build awareness about the benefits of yoga. There's so many health benefits and emotional and psychological benefits that studies are just unrolling all the time. Employers, as far as bringing the employee wellness programs through yoga into the businesses. Schools are doing the same thing, as Susie mentioned. And that's what we really wanted to do, have this large-scale visible presence of, hey, this is yoga, all shapes and sizes of people coming out to do it. It's accessible to anyone that can just walk out, and they can maybe just watch. They can roll out a mat and partake in the festivities, and
all right.
and the yoga community gets a chance to really come together. It's nice.
Well, I wish you the best, and I know that there's seats, the space is still available, mat space still available. So I'm looking forward to hearing about how it all went. So thank you both.
Oh, thank you.
Still to come, our panel of insiders weighs in on the top stories of the week. But first, The Athletic calls itself the new standard of sports journalism, providing national and local coverage in 47 North American cities, including Indy. Staff writer Scott Agnes talks about the model and the upcoming NBA draft with Bill Benner on Inside Indiana Sports.
You started about a year ago with the Athletic, and they approached you. But again, this is a local coverage, but kind of taken to a national platform.
Yeah, and what's great about it, I think, Bill, is the fact that it's kind of everything you want in is one place, right? So no matter your teams, if you're an Indy transplant and you still like, say, the Chicago Bears, but like Pacer coverage, you get it with one subscription, which is really cool on top of everything else. So I feel like it's a diverse offering for your go-to sports fan.
And by all accounts, they seem to be doing well in their third year of operation.
Yeah, things are going very well. I know the Bay Area coverage, right, with the Warriors and everything, has done very, very well. And we're seeing new subscribers just continue to be added all the time. As more than anything, the challenge is just finding everyone and people finding us. So it's all about word of mouth more than anything, I think.
And also expanding, you mentioned before we went on the air, motorsports, boxing, WNBA, the MMA are all now part of the Athletics coverage.
Yeah, that's all in the last month, in fact. And even before then, we had a beat writer covering all four of the major professional teams. So it's active, we're out, and we're covering things in just a little bit different way. And you've watched the game, what happened and why. That's more so what we're geared towards.
Yeah, and I was impressed when you were telling me, Scott, that even with your coverage of the Pacers, you actually went to about 25 road games. But not really to cover the game, but looking for other kinds of stories.
Yeah, we want to be there. We're always there, right? We have draft stuff all this past week and draft coverage upcoming. And it's just a matter of finding the story. And a lot of times you can get guys to the side and to elaborate more on their situation or what they're dealing with in the middle of a season, more so than that 5-0 run in the middle of the second quarter.
Scott, the draft is coming up. Let's talk about some of the Indiana connections. Romeo Langford. We've got Carson Edwards, Kyle Guy, the local kid that did so well for Virginia with the national championship. Where do you see them falling in next week's draft?
Yeah, so I see all those guys in a very different situation. For Romeo, it's all about proving a little bit of his toughness and what kind of score. Does he have an outside shot? Some of those things he necessarily weren't able to show at IU because he was dealing with a torn ligament in his shooting hand. Right. He had that cast removed and has not been working out for teams, but has been meeting with them. He's going to be a lottery pick, I believe. Carson Edwards, probably a fringe first-round guy. Obviously, if you're in the first round, that's guaranteed money. So that's important. Although, if he's not in the first round, they're in that second round, you could land with a team where maybe you have more of an opportunity. And then Kyle Guy, I think he has a tough spot here. He came in and worked out for his hometown team, but he says he just has to continue to prove himself, and I think that will be the case. As he's a fringe second-round guy, maybe he'll be an undrafted free agent and get to pick his situation.
Pacers, you're going to take the best player available, right?
Of course,
but
you have to.
But you don't know because with the free agency coming up and they have so many guys at the end of contracts, it's going to be a very interesting pick for them. But again, best player available?
I think you have to go that way, and it worked out nicely for them, right? Last year with Aaron Holiday, a guy that was expected to go 12 to 17. He fell to them at 23, a guy that didn't even come work out for them because he didn't think he'd be available. Previous guys that people would know at 18, TJ Leaf 2 years ago, David West several years ago, Eric Bledsoe. So they can get good value, and I think at 18, you're looking for a rotational piece. Maybe a fringe all-star is what you can find at 18.
And as we wrap up, back to the Athletic, a Father's Day special. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Father's Day, go ahead and get your dad a special gift. Give him this all-in-one package. We've expanded to video. We didn't even mention that. Kind of mini documentary series. But if you go to The Athletic or the Athletic app, you can get, I think, 20% off and a free T-shirt shipped to you. So you're talking $3 a month for the entire year. That's quite a deal.
All right. Well, Scott Agnes covers the Pacers for The Athletic. I appreciate you coming on the air. Thanks for the insights and best wishes.
And finally, our insiders give perspective on Indiana's top business stories. This week's panel includes Ice Miller partner Melissa Profit, Mike Harmless with Harmless Consulting, and University of Indianapolis Associate Professor of Finance, Matt Will.
A story that kind of broke late in the week, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced plans some months ago, Melissa, to relocate two key agencies out of Washington, D.C. To other locations in the country. Indianapolis, the Kansas City region, Raleigh-Durham, 3 finalists. Indianapolis, Indiana, actually Purdue had a slot too, went to Kansas City. Surprising?
I was surprised and very disappointed. I think it makes total sense to move out of D.C. for all the reasons they express, for economic reasons and being close to the locales where agriculture really occurs. But when you look at what Indiana, along with Purdue, has to offer, our Agrinovus experience and exposure, as well as the FFA, Purdue, I was surprised and disappointed.
Seemed like a lot of things lined up. You mentioned Agrinovus, all the momentum behind that initiative. Plus, it would have meant, I think, between the two agencies, 600 jobs in those two agencies in this food, ag, bioscience space. A lot of potential, but Kansas City got the nod.
Yeah, I mean, it would have had a huge impact on the state and all the localities. And I'm sure Mitch Daniels is very disappointed because, just like Melissa said, I felt like we were going to get it.
Yeah.
But the positive spin on this is if you look at it, we're the finalists for Amazon, we're the finalists for the USDA. Indiana keeps getting to the finals, and yeah, we're not batting 1,000, but that's okay, because we're making progress, and you're not going to see other states always in the finals like we are. And I think that's impressive and says a lot about the leadership in the state of Indiana.
And won some big ones like Saab and some of the other big investments in recent months. Shifting gears a bit to a big challenge for the state of Indiana and many other states around the country, and that's the opioid crisis, really, that has been gripping the state. Actually, some positive news, Melissa, out this week that showed that a task force reported that opioid prescriptions in Indiana have decreased 35.1% over the past 5 years. That's 2% higher than the national average. So perhaps some indications that this focus on the issue maybe is paying off.
I think this is huge because we had some really troubling numbers where we were 5th in the nation for drug use. That has gone down 23% in just the last year. And in the number of prescription drugs that have been authorized, down 12%. So we're making huge strides. And I think it's because both the State House and our governor attacked this. They hired a drug czar, Jim McClellan, to be executive director of drug treatment. And they've attacked it from all angles, and everybody's accepted this. So there's 4 key areas that they're focusing on: educating the consumer. And a lot of people are not taking the prescriptions that used to. They'll go with an extra strength Tylenol instead of a narcotic. In addition, physicians, surprisingly, were not knowledgeable. And there's a program out there where they're providing information so that they can look at their patient and see seamlessly the different kinds of drugs that are being prescribed by other physicians. There's laws and regulations that have been passed, so our State House deserves accolades as well as our governor supporting that, dealing with treatment centers. And then, in addition, employers are understanding this issue and are well educated. So we are tackling this in a concerted, collaborative effort, and it's great to see results.
Yeah, great from the human perspective, and there's also a business element as well in that regard. Matt, Ball State came out with an update. They have a quality of life index rankings, if you will, for every county in the state of Indiana, all 92 counties. Updated that, last updated in 2012, I think. Your take on that? We talk a lot about quality of life, quality of place, the importance in economic development. How important are these rankings?
Well, the interesting thing about this study is that there's a lot of econometric data. So I can't wait to see the county executives and mayors sort through this. They should call me. I'll help them sort through the numbers. But the meta level on this that I find fascinating is Indiana consistently has high quality of life ratings across the board. People complain about our income being low, but when you adjust for the cost of living and the cost of housing, we jump up in the top 10 in a lot of these rankings. So the quality of life here is great, and it's good to see that we're putting some focus on it. And I like to see this report. Hopefully the numbers can be usable. Yeah. But it's good to hear.
Is that the key, you think, Mike, these counties being able to actually use the
as a
data?
Former mayor, I mean, I looked at a lot of it, and you'd have all these scores, C-, B+, and so how are they going to be able to use it? And if it's not usable, then it's not very helpful.
Yep. An emerging sector in the state of Indiana when it comes to jobs and potential jobs is cybersecurity. A lot of people, it's surprising to a lot of people, but there was data this week. We saw 6,000 cybersecurity jobs are open. 1150 Academy offering new cybersecurity programs to train workers to get into that field. There's a real feeling that Indiana can be a leader, a global leader in cybersecurity.
I think that's without question. Once again, Scott Jones is the visionary that he is. He's come a long way since we were in high school chemistry class together. But they saw a vision that in 2021 there was going to be a crisis in terms of the amount of jobs that we have here, and so they offer a program that's available for part-time and full-time, and they're going to companies, specific Fortune 100 companies, and asking them exactly what do you need, what can we do to have a real internship-like training program that's real and can be readily available to our employers. So to have this kind of workforce available prior to the crisis is great.
An opportunity, real opportunity for jobs, do you think, in Indiana?
I mean, not just jobs, but also, there's an industry that's forming around this. On June 19th here in Indianapolis, there's a big cybersecurity conference that's going on. So we are not just, doing the things that you're hearing about, but there are initiatives within industry, within, individual companies and job opportunities in the academy. We're kind of finding a niche here, which is another good thing for the state.
Yeah, and quickly too, the sciences, STEM-related fields are really in focus when it comes to jobs and jobs development at public universities, but also private. We had Franklin College on with the new Science Center. Recently, Butler approved a $100 million project, the largest single project on the campus, all focused on a sciences complex and keeping more STEM workers in the pipeline here.
Well, I mean, Butler is really thinking to the future, and they're investing where they need to be investing. I think it was great that they spent a lot of time with industry, talking with them about what their needs were, going out and visiting them, look at their workspaces, and then they're going to incorporate all that into these new facilities. And I think it's great for Butler and great for Indiana.
Speaking, keeping it with the universities in the state, patents are a big deal at the university level, certainly, and the number of patents granted each and every year. News came out this week from an organization, their annual list of patents granted in the U.S. Purdue and IU did very well. Purdue, number 12, 4 years in a row. The university says it has been granted at least 100 patents. IU came in number 63 on the list. How important, in your view, Melissa, is this kind of information?
It's incredibly significant. Mitch Daniels said in 2012, 2013, let's move our innovation to the public, and that's exactly what they did. And he is ensuring that the intellect and the knowledge and the skill set of our faculty and our students remains within the organization, the university. Purdue's number one in the Midwest, and they're number one in the nation if you don't take into account medical schools. So this is hugely significant. They had 126 patents in 2018. They're also equipping their foundation with the resources they need from a business standpoint. They are having lawyers on site. Our law firm helps assist to help through that process. In addition, marketing and BD, significant part of the patent process. So they get the whole business picture of it, and they're bringing that business element to academia.
All right, with that, we'll call it another wrap for the Insiders on Inside Indiana Business. Melissa Prophet, Mike Harmless, Matt Will, thank you one and all.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.